I'm going to tell you the scale of this crime between 2013 and 2026. Nigerian authorities identified 393 corruption cases involving public officials. And the money attached to those cases is not something your mind can easily process, believe me. All of it linked to people who were given power and trust by this country. Out of the 393 cases, only 144 reached a final judgment. That means more than 60% of these cases are still sitting in court, still pending, still waiting. Some of them have been waiting for 15 years. Think about that. What 15 years means. A child born a day a governor was charged for stealing will have finished primary school, finish secondary school, and be preparing for university. So start with the ones that will shock you the most. Not the ones who ran, not the ones who are hiding, the ones still in power. I'm going to start with Godswill Akpabio, Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the number 3 citizen of this country, the man who presides over the law that governs your life. He has been under EFCC investigation since 2015 for alleged theft of 108.1 billion in Akwa Ibom state funds. The investigation is now 11 years old. No charges filed, no conviction. He is sitting in the Senate chambers making decisions for 220 million Nigerians. And here is the part that should make your blood boil. When the EFCC chairman appeared before the Senate for his screening, he accidentally, I'm using that word, used Akpabio's name as an example in a corruption investigation in the Senate chamber in front of everybody. And Akpabio sat right there and told him not to use his name as an example. The man under investigation for over 100 billion naira told the anti-corruption chief to watch his mouth in public and on camera, and nobody did anything. There is Abdullahi Ganduje, former governor of Kano State. You may remember him as the man whose own family filmed him allegedly stuffing dollars into his agbada. That video went everywhere. It went viral. The whole country watched it. And what happened? Ganduje is now the national chairman of the APC, the ruling party. The party controlling the presidency, 31 state governments, and the National Assembly. He was arraigned in July 2024 alongside his wife, his son, and 6 others for alleged bribery and kickback of, wait for it, $413 billion and $1.38 billion from contractor. His trial is ongoing in 2026, and he is simultaneously running the political machinery that will determine who governs this country in 2027. This is not irony. This is the system working exactly as it was designed to. Now, pay very close attention to this section, because this is the part that should make every Nigerian who has ever collected a PVC and stood in the sun to vote feel something very deep. Yahaya Bello, former governor of Kogi State. This is the man who physically hid inside the home of a sitting governor to avoid EFCC arrest. Not a rumor. It was on every news channel. The EFCC showed up. He refused to come out. Nigerians watched it live. He is currently facing 2 separate corruption trials running simultaneously. The first is an 80.2 billion money laundering charge at the Federal High Court. The second is an 110.4 billion criminal breach of trust case at the FCT High Court combined. That is almost 200 billion in allegation against one person from one state. And in May 2026, Yahaya Bello won the APC primary for the Kogi Central Senatorial seat for the 2027 election. He is not just running, he has already won his primary, while both trials are active in courts. Then there is Ifeanyi Okowa, former governor of Delta State, former PDP vice presidential candidate in 2023. He is under EFCC investigation for alleged diversion of, wait for it, 1.3 trillion. That is 1.3 trillion naira in derivation funds meant for Delta people, oil money. On June 22, 2026, 3 days ago, Okonwa walked into the EFCC Lagos office not to surrender, not to face charges. He went there to beg for his passport back so he could travel abroad for medical treatment. The man is under investigation for 1.3 trillion naira, and his biggest problem right now is that EFCC is holding his travel documents. And while all that is happening, Okonwa is the APC senatorial candidate for Delta North in 2027 election. He defected from PDP to APC and immediately picked the senatorial form because in Nigeria, the fastest way to make your corruption case go cold is to join the ruling party. Then there is Nasir El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State. The case is different from all the others, and I need you to understand why. The ICPC arrested El-Rufai on February 18, 2026. He has been in ICPC custody since that day, over 4 months now. The ICPC arraigned him on a 10-count charge covering alleged abuse of office, fraud, money laundering, and the conversion of proceeds of corruption during his time as Kaduna governor from 2015 to 2023. At the same time, the DSS filed separate charges against him for alleged tapping the National Security Advisor's phone, and the EFCC was also investigating him. 3 agencies, multiple courts granted him bail, but the conditions are so stringent, he cannot fulfill them. The Federal High Court in Kaduna this week adjourned his bail ruling to July 1st, 2026. June 24, the court rejected his application to vary those bail conditions. He is still inside. And as of June 23, 2026, 2 days ago, the EFCC closed its case against him. His defense team plans to file a no-case submission, and the court adjourned that matter to September 2026. 4 months in custody, 3 agencies pursuing him. Cases adjourned to July, cases adjourned to September. The man who once governed Kaduna State cannot even get himself out of detention. I hope you are watching this pattern. Patterns don't lie. This is another level, another set. Let's start with Diezeni Alison Madueke, former Minister of Petroleum Resources 2010 to 2015. Under her watch, the NNPC ran an offshore processing arrangement that moved over 352 billion barrels of Nigerian oil worth $35 billion through contract that shut out the Ministry of Finance, the Central Bank, and the Department of Petroleum Resources. The then CBN governor, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, told the National Assembly that approximately $20 billion in oil revenues was not remitted to the Federation account between January 2012 and July 2013 alone. The United States seized a 65-meter super yacht called the Galactica Star linked to her associates. They seized prime real estate in New York and in California. In 2025, the US and Nigeria signed an asset return agreement for $52.88 billion. The EFCC recovered over 80 properties and $153 million in Nigeria linked to the case. On June 17, 2026, 8 days ago, a London jury found Diezeni not guilty of all 6 bribery charges at Southwark Crown Court after more than 46 hours of deliberation. Now, I need to be precise here because there's a difference between being freed in London and being cleared. That London verdict answered one narrow legal question under UK law. It did not touch a single naira of the money or a single property in Nigeria. The EFCC has already recovered those 80 properties worth approximately $80 million and $153 million in cash. $153 million in cash in Nigeria. She is currently facing those forfeitures orders at the Federal High Court in Nigeria right now. Again, she was never properly served notice. That case is still ongoing. The Nigeria forfeiture proceedings are still running. The London verdict means nothing to those cases. And our own defense lawyer said something in that London courtroom that every Nigerian needs to hear and pay attention. When challenged on EFCC evidence, he said, either you trust the EFCC or you don't. That one sentence tells you everything you need to know about the state of accountability in this country. Then there is Stella Odua, former Minister of Aviation, $5 billion in alleged misappropriation of aviation funds. Her case lasted 8 years, 8 years of adjournment and motion, and at the end, listen, the court discharged her. Not convicted, discharged. 8 years, 5 billion free. Sambo Dasuki, former national security adviser, charged over $2.1 billion arms procurement scandal. Money meant to buy weapons for soldiers fighting Boko Haram, soldiers dying on the battlefields with no ammunition. Dasuki was charged. And as of January 2026, the case is still at the stage of cross-examining the second prosecution witness. They have not even finished the prosecution side after years in court. That is another pattern. Notice. Let's go to those ones who actually got convicted. Now, in fairness, there are convictions and they are important. Chukwuyere Nwabuoku, acting accountant general of the Federation, diverted 868 million from defense fund, the same defense, arraigned January 2025, convicted March 2026, sentenced to 72 years with no option of fund, 14 months from charge to conviction. Saleh Maman, former minister of power, 33.8 billion allegedly diverted from the Mambila and Zungeru hydropower project, convicted July 2024, sentenced to 75 years. Abdulrahman Maina, former chairman of the pension reform tax team, over 2 billion in stolen pension funds, convicted 2021, at least 20 properties seized, including a mansion bought for $2 million. 3 convictions, and I want you to notice something about all 3 of them. None of them is a sitting governor. None of them is a senator. None of them is a minister who still had the backing of a sitting presidency when they were convicted. A director of finance, an agency head, a minister whose political cover had expired. That's who goes to prison in Nigeria. The one with no cover. The one whose patron has left office. The one who cannot afford senior advocates, filing motion after motion until the judge retires. That is also a pattern. 4 reasons why all this keeps happening, all verified. 1, endless legal motion. When you are a governor accused of stealing, you hire 10 senior advocates. Their job is not to prove your innocence. It is to file motion after motion until the case drags long enough that witnesses die, evidences get stalled, and the public loses interest. That is a documented legal strategy, and it works. Number 2, judge reshuffling resets everything. When a new judge takes over a case in Nigeria, the entire trial starts from scratch. Every witness retestifies. Every document is retendered. Abdul Fattah Ahmed case in Kwara restarted completely because the trial judge was moved. Willie Obiano case restarted completely because the trial judge was suspended for misconduct. Every restart is years of wasted time by design. 3, defects to ruling party and your case goes cold. The EFCC was forced to publicly deny that politicians who join APC get their cases buried. They had to deny it because the pattern was too obvious. Okowa defected and is now an APC candidate. The former APC national chairman before Ganduje said publicly that those who joined the party have their sins forgiven. His words on record. 4, the presidential pardon erases what the court actually delivers. In 2025, President Tinubu signed pardon for 175 people, including convicted corrupt officials. The ICPC spent years securing those convictions. One signature undid it all. Critics at the time noted that the pardon came as Tinubu was building political alliances ahead of 2027. I'm going to leave you with one question, and I want your honest answer in the comments. If the EFCC can convict a director of finance in 14 months and sentence him to 72 years, why has a former governor with 80 billion in charges been in court for 2 years with no conviction in sight? Drop your comments below.